Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. This is Nomna here. I decided to start this change conversations talk series mainly because of all the changes that we're all experiencing right now because of the COVID-19. I don't know if any of you would know, I'm actually a professional change coach that has been certified. I have a ProSci certification on change management. I have been practicing change management in terms of helping organizations with their changes. I've worked for a number of big organizations. It's a subject that I'm very passionate about. But besides being passionate, it's a calling. So, in my change journey, I realized that there's a huge gap in the market in the sense that organizations do prepare themselves for change. They do make significant investments in terms of how they're managing the change to make sure that it is successful. However, the biggest gap that exists right now is the fact that most times people still only find out about it being the last people to find out about the change, and yet the change impacts them the most. So I thought to myself that, you know what, someone has to make a difference. We all go through changes, and in this digital age that we've now officially entered, change is rapid. It's instant, it's daily. That means that how you do things last week may not necessarily be how things are the following week. That means that we all have to be agile. We all have to be able to adapt to change. We all have to be able to predict change and understand how it will impact us in advance before it actually hits us in order for us to have better opportunities of success. Currently, with the COVID-19 pandemic, one of the most rarest experiences that I saw was seeing the whole world shut down. The entire world has shut down. We've never seen that before. And what it means also is that even after this lockdown that we're currently in as South Africa, when it has ended and we all go back to our work, our businesses, business will not be usual anymore. You know, things have changed. So that means that we also have to start looking at things differently. We have to change how we do things. Most times we start wondering, how do I go about it? You know, I'm sitting here at home, I'm thinking about my job at work. I'm wondering, will I still have a job? If yes, I still have a job. Will everything still be the same? Chances are it may still be the same for the first week, for the first month. Chances are things may change. Why? Because businesses have experienced a major impact with the lockdowns. That hits on the bottom line. So some businesses may have, a rainy day pocket that may help them to overcome this financial impact that they may have experienced. But some businesses may not have that, you know. So for those ones that may not have that, that may mean that they may have to cut down on jobs, which is not great, you know. And for those that manage to survive, it may mean that they have to change their way of doing things. Why? Because now with COVID-19, there's certain things that have been experienced and experimented by businesses. Things like working remotely. Most people that are not essential services, that are still carrying on with their businesses, they're currently working from home. So that means that chances are when they go back to their workplaces, working from home, remote working may be something that is now possible, which may not have been possible before. It's great because you can work from your bed, you can work in whichever way you want, but it also means that you as an employee and a worker, how you conduct yourself during that period whilst you're working from home has to change. So you need to start looking at your discipline, you know. And for those that may still carry on going to the office, for example, you might find that because of everything that happened, there's now been gaps that have been identified within the business. Then that means that business has to shift things around, you know. Most instances, our first reaction to change is to resist it. You know, why is this happening? You know, we're being negatively impacted. You know, we don't want this. You know, what we don't realize though is that the more we resist the change, the more we disadvantage ourselves. Why? Because most instances, when businesses go into consider changes, it's not because of luxury. It's because it's a necessity. That means that if the business does not make the change, the business may not stand a chance of continuing to operate. So they're usually faced with a choice of either you change how you do things or you shut down. So if you as an employee are thinking to yourself, this change is not necessary, I don't want to be experiencing this change, the way we were doing things is fine, that means that chances are you may not have privy to the information that alludes to why the change is necessary. So in this session, my focus is really just giving a few tips that I think are vital for all of us, that will help us embrace change better. In this age that we live in, that is critical. Being able to be agile, resilient to change will be the key catalyst that will determine whether you proceed in your career or it comes to a standstill. What are some of those tips? Okay, before we get into the tips, let's start off with some of the common questions that people ask about change. What does change mean to me? You know, I understand that business has to go through all of this, but what has it got to do with me? You know? Remember that business is made up of people. So if business is not doing well, that means that your livelihood is at risk. So it is to your interest to make sure that you understand first why the change is happening. In most instances, you'll find that information is available, you know, but we're so overwhelmed with work, long emails that have filled up our inboxes that we don't take the time to read. Or sometimes you've read, but you don't understand. If you don't understand, ask your manager. Have those open and honest conversations with your managers. If you are a manager, have those open and honest conversations with your teams. It's critical. Change happens because everyone participates. And if we don't participate in the change, we put our livelihood at risk. And sometimes you may not necessarily understand. If you don't understand, ask. Okay. The second question that people usually ask is, okay, fine, now I've read this information, I've spoken to my manager, now I understand why this change is necessary, but I still don't understand, what does it have to do with me? What is it that I need to do in my role? You know, what actions can I take? There's a lot of things that you can do. First of all, start understanding, how does the change impact you specifically in your role? In the time that I've done corporate work, most of my focus has always been doing that detailed analysis in terms of how the anticipated change will impact the roles within the organization. So you might find that your manager has that information readily available. If it's not readily available and it's information that matters to you and your manager is aware that you have interest in that, then they will definitely make sure that they bring you on board. They make you understand. Why is it important? If you understand how change impacts you in your role, then it's then that you can understand the actions that you need to take in order for you to prepare yourself for the world after the change has happened. Hi Poom, hi Pali, hi Matt, thank you for joining me. Thank you. It's great. Okay, so where was I? Some people usually take the stance, where they say, bury the head in the sand, hoping change will go away. And they say, what if I wait long enough? If I wait long enough, this change will not happen. Wrong. The change will happen. You may just be negatively impacted by the change because of your approach and response to it. Remember, anytime there's a change, there's always advantages and there's always disadvantages. Someone will win, someone will lose. Typical example, right now with COVID-19. Businesses have shut down. People are crying. We're not making money. I'm not making money. I'm crying. But there's people that are making a killing. People that are now starting up new businesses, providing the masks and all that protective equipment that we need to protect ourselves from COVID. That market didn't exist before, except for hospitals and all those people that use protective gear. But now everybody needs it, So that means that there's a new market that is opened in the business. So the people that will benefit are the people that are anticipating the change. They see the opportunity and they go for it. And the only way to do that is to look into the change from an objective perspective. See exactly what it requires. See what actions you can take from your little corner to support the change. And also make sure that if there is an opportunity, you go for it. You would be surprised if I tell you this. A lot of times that people change jobs, it's because of change. Sometimes you find yourself in your dream job. Sometimes you find yourself in a dream job. Sometimes you find yourself in a crappy job. What is the difference? You might find that the person that gets the dream job was very much aware of the change. They anticipated it. They prepared themselves for that opportunity for when it comes up because they knew what they want and they prepared themselves in advance and they readied themselves for it. When the opportunity comes, they strike and they succeed. So I ask now, who do you want to be? Do you want to be the person that buries their head in the sand, hoping change will go away, only to realize when they emerge that everybody has moved on and you left behind? Or do you want to be the person that sees the change coming, takes proactive action to find out how the change will impact them, take the necessary actions to make sure that it benefits you? Remember, there's always that flip side of the coin. You decide how it flips for you. Okay. Next question that people normally ask. Who can I talk to about changes happening at work? I've spoken about it earlier. The first person you can talk to is your manager. If you are a manager yourself, remember you also have a leader that you can talk to. And even the CEO still talks to the board, and the board still talks to the owners, So there's always someone you can talk to. And sometimes if it's not your boss, you can always talk to your colleagues and your peers. Have round table conversations around change, not to bash and have a negative talk about it, but rather from a constructive, positive perspective. What is happening? What does it mean for us? What can we do to support? Or what can we do to prepare ourselves? Remember, sometimes change may mean businesses shutting down. it's bad, it's not nice, but it happens. And if it is like that, it also means you need to start thinking about, okay, so what will my life look like after this job? What will I do after this job? Those are not easy deliberations to have, which is why there's people like me that have been trained to help you have those conversations. Remember, when you're having a conversation with someone may actually bring another aspect or another dimension to your dilemma that you may not have considered. So have those conversations. It's very important. If you don't have them, you might find yourself feeling depressed, losing interest in your regular activities, being snappy at home, nothing pleases you anymore, and you don't understand why your life is so sour. Meanwhile, you're being stressed by the changes that are happening at work, and you don't know how to deal with them, and you're not talking to anyone about them. Okay, so the biggest question whenever there's change is, what will the future hold? Yeah, ne? Crystal ball, what does the future hold? And that is the big unknown, unfortunately. We all hope for the best, but the future is always unknown. However, remember, you can always prepare yourself for the future you want. Does not mean that you will have it exactly the way, but it means that at least you would have prepared your mind for the desired future you want, and whatever circumstances come up, you can then check whether are they aligned to the future you want or not. If they are deviating, how do you manage those deviations? We cannot foretell how the future will be, but we can prepare how we want it to be. You know, sometimes they say it's a waste to think about a future that you don't know. I beg to differ. I beg to differ because if you have a futuristic view of life, then everything that you do in your life on a daily basis is structured to support the future you want. And if you don't have that futuristic view of your life, that means that every day you live without thinking about the future consequences of your today's actions. I don't know if you want to be in that situation where you don't know what you will be doing next year. I know that next year I want to be staying in my farm, in Mount Fletcher, plowing my field, having lots of those live talk sessions with people from everywhere, because now there's technology that enables me to do that. But because I know that that's what I want, that also means that I need to do what? Everything that I do now needs to support that future that I want. As I plan, as I act, I need to make sure that I act to support the future I want. Okay, so in this particular section right now, I will look at the last one, the last question. What does it take to succeed in a changing environment? What does it take to succeed in a changing environment? Take COVID-19, for example. Who is succeeding right now? The people that are succeeding right now are the people that had prepared themselves for the digital world. You see them with live online activities, online shopping stores, online events, all of these futuristic stuff that some people have been working on when we thought that we don't need it. And they were working on it because they knew that this future is coming. So if you want to succeed in a changing environment, I've already touched on this. You need to be understanding the future trends in your industry. If, for example, you are in medicine, right? What are the future trends in the medicine sector? Right now, everything is digital, and digital is disrupting every business. What does it mean? What does digital mean in my sector? And if I want to succeed in that sector, what do I need to do? For example, for me who is a consultant, I know that for me to succeed in this changing environment, it means that I need to be flexible, I need to be agile, I need to be up to date in terms of what's happening digitally, the trends, because at the end of the day, if I want to be able to help people that are struggling to get into that future, I need to be futurized first, Yes. So it's very important for you to understand exactly what it is that will be required in your industry so that you can start preparing yourself. Initially, when we're still starting out, it meant that we need to, you knew that, okay, fine, at some point I want to succeed, I want a promotion, so I will go and register for a degree and I'll do that degree for 3 years, and then after 3 years I will have a qualification and then I can apply for a promotion. These days, things are different. That's not how things are anymore. Right now, things are such that you can log in online, buy knowledge, learn from people that are doing this actively, and you learn quicker than if you went to a university and you learned from a textbook. So what does this mean? It means that now there's more opportunities for success than there's ever been before. What does it mean? It means that now if you want to change your career completely and move away from everything you've ever done before, you can do that. Why? Because digital has brought knowledge at the palm of our hands. Right now, I'm sitting in my bedroom, and we're having this conversation. Why? Because of digital. A few years back, we could not do that. So, if you want to succeed in this changing environment, 3 key things. Know what you want out of your life. That is the first one. Key, paramount. It's very important. You need to know what you want. And for you to know what you want, you need to know who you are. Invest in that. Right now, we're still in quarantine. We still have the time. Take the time to get to know yourself. Take the time to know your heart, your desires, your dreams. Because right now, there are more possible than there've ever been in the entire history that we come from. Going forward, you can do anything you want. The only difference and the only stumbling block is your mindset. Second, be proactive about changes. Be proactive about what is going on in the field that you're interested in. Third, craft yourself. When I say craft yourself, what I mean is right now we're on Facebook, right? It's a digital platform. We all have profiles, right? When was the last time you checked your profile and checked whether it's aligned to the future you want? When last were you checking your profile to see what opportunities it can deliver for you? Remember that we use Facebook, Instagram for fun, but you can also use it for constructive learning, positive, forward thinking, personal growth purposes. Everything is there. It's a matter of whether you see it or you don't. Remember, if you don't know that you want it, you will not see it. If you don't know that you need it, you will not see it. Okay, so that's all I'm going to touch on today. What I'd like to do is ask questions Actually, not ask questions. That's not what I want to say. What I'm saying is, ne? So if you have any specific question that you'd like to ask, maybe you're going through a change, or maybe you're worried about how all these changes will be impacting you, please drop me a note. I'd love to help as many people as I can. And it doesn't mean that I know everything. You know, I'm a coach. And you know what coaches do? Coaches help you think. Ne? They unleash your best self by asking you the right questions. Remember, the right answer comes only when you ask the right questions. So if you do have those questions that you have, or maybe hiccups that you'd like to talk to someone about it, I'm availing myself. I am available on Facebook, on Instagram, and I'm open to having those conversations with people. I would really, really love that. Why? Because I feel like I need to do my bit to help the our generation to, you know, succeed. We having a very challenging time. You know, the era in which we live in is dynamic. It's fast paced. It's not easy to maneuver. You know, but you don't have to do it alone. Thank you very much for joining me. I really, really, really appreciate it. These sessions will be happening every Wednesday at this time. Next time it will be on Zoom. On Zoom specifically because Zoom is easier for me to manage in terms of having a more interactive conversation, because I don't want to just talk on my own. I'd like to have like a more interactive conversation with everybody. So the event is on Facebook. If you'd like to join the next session, please just sign up so that we can have you on record, and then you can get a link to Zoom, and then we can do a Zoom video where we can be actually more interactive. The reason why for me interactive would work, I'd love to hear, you know, how are you feeling? That is the question I have for everyone that's joined me today. How are you feeling? You know? How are you feeling? Okay. Thank you very much. Bye, 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 bye.